I was just about to begin today's video by saying yesterday West Ham United dealt with the managerial situation by agreeing to give Loptegui at least one more game. However, that would be a lie about how I feel. I don't believe they've dealt with the managerial situation at all. Quite the opposite. I think they've simply delayed dealing with that situation around Lopetegui, and they've just kicked the can down the road by saying he can have Monday night, and then they've just bought themselves some time. So that situation, as far as I'm concerned, has not been dealt with whatsoever. And I'm really upset with the way the club have handled this. I don't like the decision to give him one more game, but I'm more angry and frustrated with how the club have dealt with or failed to deal with it. But there's another situation, arguably a more expensive one, and that is Jean-Clair Todibo. And it goes hand in hand with the Lopetegui one as well, because they had to take this Todibo one into consideration when discussing and deciding what to do with Loptegui. So I'm intrigued to see if this one has been resolved or not, but I'll talk you through it. When it comes to West Ham stories, I take it as just that, stories. Some of it I believe, some of it I don't believe at all, and some of it I'm in the middle. A report will come out about something, I'll believe elements of it, but not all of it. And me and you won't always agree on the same things. We won't always believe the same things, and that's okay, that's normal, that's correct. Believe what you want. I always have and always will encourage that. However, when it comes to the Todibo story, now and again, I will be able to speak to people about things, and I become very, very certain things have happened. Ben Johnson, Jesse Lingard, etc. There's a few things I'll sit here and say, I'm 99% confident what I'm away to say is true. Now, when it comes to the Todibo rumours, there's only half of it I can say I'm 99% confident is true, and the rest of it's rumours, but I'll split it in two, and hopefully this makes sense. So here's the bit I believe is 99% true. At half-time of the Arsenal game, Lopetegui and Todibo had an argument and had to be separated. And as a result of that, Todibo was told he won't be playing against Leicester City, and he was made to train with under-21s. Lopetegui did his press conference and said he had an injury, so Lopetegui had already laid the foundations for Todibo not being involved against Leicester City. Now, we know this bit's 100% true, which is Todibo wasn't involved. He wasn't even in the squad. And that's the bit I know is 99% true. The other part of the report is that during the argument at half-time, when they had to be separated, it was Jarrod Bowen that had to separate them, and it was a bit more physical than verbal. Bowen had to separate them, but Bowen was unhappy with Todibo more than Lopetegui, as he felt the centre-back was disrespectful towards the head coach. And as a result of the argument, Lopetegui's told Todibo, you will never play for West Ham again whilst I am manager. And he then went to train with under-21s. The other parts of the reports are suggesting that Todibo has informed Tim Steidten that he doesn't want to play for West Ham again whilst Lopetegui is in charge, and he wants to leave the club ASAP. Now, that second part is just rumours. I believe some of it, but not all of it. However, what I think it's fair to say is there's a situation here. And the club would have had to take this into consideration over the last couple of days. Because Todibo's time at West Ham so far has been okay. Some good performances, some bad performances. However, his future is not really up in the air. And it's quite a unique one because Todibo, at this point in time, is not our player. We've got him on loan currently. However, we've committed to buying him for 40 million euros in the summer. All we have to do is avoid relegation. If we avoid relegation, we sign Todibo for 40 million euros automatically. There's no getting out of this. But that doesn't occur until the summer. So when the January transfer window comes round, we can't do anything. We can't sell him because he's not our player to sell. We can't send him back because there's an obligation to buy in his contract. We're stuck with Todibo until the summer. And if we avoid relegation, we will be paying 40 million euro for him. It's a very, very unique situation that we've got ourselves into here. Now, whether Lopetegui and Todibo's kissed and made up, and I hope that's true, the best scenario right now is that in between the Leicester game and today, Lopetegui and Todibo's had discussions and everything's resolved. However, I'm going to say not. And the reason I say no is because we played on Tuesday night. Wednesday was a day off for the players. So Thursday, yesterday, was the first time the players were back in training and Lopetegui was back at work. And the decision was made pretty much there and then yesterday too. So I don't feel like there was time for Lopetegui and Todibo to sit down, hash things out and kiss and make up, and he's in the squad for the game against Wolves on Monday. And we need him to be in the squad for the game against Wolves on Monday. We're going to be playing this high line. Todibo's possibly the best centre-back we can have in centre-back positions. But also, we've only got 3 senior centre-backs. We've only got 3 of them, with Kilman and Mavropanos. So if you're going to eliminate one of them for the remainder of the season, you're taking a gamble there, aren't you? You're going with Kilman and Mavropanos and that's it. Regardless of form and fitness, you've got to play. The alternatives are promote Casey or drop Edson Alvarez into the centre-back position. Neither is something I hope to see, to be honest with you. We've got a bit of a problem here with Todibo, and this isn't the first time or the first player Lopetegui's fell out with at West Ham. He's fell out with Mohamed Kudus, and reportedly he's fell out with Alphonse Areola as well. And it's not even just West Ham, it goes back to his days at Wolves as well, where reports were he was a prickly character. That's the wording of the reports, that he was difficult to get on with, and the players struggled to get on with him as well. And there's a lot of things going against Lopetegui at the minute. I've got a lot of sympathy for him, with what's going on with his old man. And then the way the club have handled it over the last 24 or 48 hours, I've got a bit of sympathy for him. The sympathy disappears in that regards into the prospect of him losing his job. It only goes so far because, it's hard to feel sorry for someone losing their job and they get paid millions of pounds to get sacked. It's difficult to really get the violin out. I can get, like I said, the personal side of it with what's going on with his dad. I can feel really sorry for him with that, and there's no correlation between that and his job at West Ham. I don't, because he's been crap as head coach of West Ham, I don't think, well, in that case, then I don't care about what's going on in your personal life. It's two different things. I find it easy to feel one way about one thing, but a different way about another thing in regards to Lopetegui. But this Todibo situation needs resolved, and it needs resolved immediately. And this is why part of me thought they might sack him, because they were approaching other managers, and I still believe they were, and I still believe they want to sack Lopetegui. To sum it up, I strongly believe Lopetegui is no longer head coach of West Ham because of his ability. And it's no longer because of the confidence in Lopetegui to be successful at West Ham United. I strongly believe Lopetegui's only now at West Ham because of the board's inability to secure a replacement and their inability to be decisive and to sack him. I feel like they've bottled the decision completely, kicked the can down the road, and he's now only here because the board are failing to bring somebody in to replace him. I strongly believe if Graham Potter would agree a 6-month contract, Lopetegui would have been sacked yesterday or today. That's my opinion. I don't know if that's true. It's just my opinion on the whole situation. But the club have to take into consideration the Todibo impact, because it's a line that's accurate. You can't change all the players, but you can change the manager. It's cheaper to sack the manager than it is to sell your players and bring new ones in. But the Todibo one, like I said, we've committed to spending €40 million on him. We cannot afford for Todibo to not be playing for West Ham. Let's just say Lopetegui sees it through to the end of the season. He's going to be here next season, and Todibo doesn't play. So we buy him for €40 million. What do you think we're selling him for? No one's paying that for him because they know that he isn't playing for West Ham and that we need to get him out pronto. And I think this is part of the... I think there's two things here. One, modern day football. Yesterday I was, fortunate enough to spend a bit of time with Jimmy Walker. By the way, I could have spent all day chatting to him about West Ham in football. What an absolute character. I've never spoken to him one-on-one, but I've seen him and heard him do things, so I know he's a character, right? But to just spend time with him, I enjoyed it a lot, just talking about all things regarding football. And this wasn't going to be a plug for the book, but I will do it quickly. Jimmy Walker's book came out. We got 100 copies signed by Jimmy Walker yesterday. We're selling them on our store. All profits go to charity. So hammerschatstore.com, Jimmy Walker books there. But I was speaking to him about it yesterday to some extent, and it was basically, football has changed. 10, 15 years ago, that happened all the time. It's just that the next day you go into training and you act like nothing's happened. You have an argument, you have even a little bit of a fisticuff sometimes, but you leave the changing room, you come back to the changing room tomorrow, and you're mates again. It's just part of football, and I think that's changed a little bit. I think player power has increased, and I think this is possibly one of the differences between a manager and a head coach. A manager has authority. A manager can say to Todibo, you're training with the kids, you're never playing for West Ham again, and in January, you're out of here. And that's that. That then happens. But with the head coach, it's completely different, because he can say those things, but you could do what Todibo has allegedly done, which is run to Tim Steidten, say, oh, Tim, I've had an argument with Loptegui, I don't want to play for West Ham anymore. If he's here, I'm not playing. And I think the head coach has a lot less power than what a manager does at a football club. And I think player power was already a thing. So you've got player power on the increase. You've got the manager's level of authority here. Player power is on the increase. And then when you switch from manager to head coach, I think you decrease the power that guy's got, if that makes sense. That's how I see it anyway. So Todibo supposedly told Tim Steidten he doesn't want to play for West Ham again. Loptegui supposedly told Todibo he won't play for West Ham again. And we will get our answer. He's got a press conference today. He may get asked about it. But also, we've got a game on Monday. If he's not in the squad, then I think it just adds more evidence and throws more fuel on the fire regarding Todibo. However, if he is in the squad, either they've kissed and made up, or they're just both getting on with it. And I don't really care which. I would prefer that they were getting along. But at worst, if it's just a case of I don't like you and you don't like me, but we're going to put our differences to aside and just get on with things. Good. That's a normal thing to do in the workplace. Nobody likes everybody, right? In that training ground at West Ham, there would be about 30 people there, at least. They're not all going to get on. People are going to dislike other people. The problem is when people don't respect other people. And that's my concern here. The third player now that Lopetegui's managed to fall out with in 4 months. And then there's these rumours regarding the treatment of James Ward-Prowse. So you can't include him because they didn't argue, but that's not ideal. Apparently, Ward-Prowse was told he was going to be vice captain, and a few weeks later he was told you're not part of the plans, get out of here. And like I said, reports from his time at Wolves was he was a prickly character, and not only the players struggled with him, the staff at Wolves struggled with him. The Athletic reported back in the summer that, well, last summer, that if they wanted to attend training, they had to ask Loptegui for permission through email whether they could come or not, and it was a very much an us v them mentality, Loptegui and his staff versus everybody else. That's not an environment you want to create. And this argument with Todibo, I think, is more of just as much a reflection on the environment created as it is of modern football. Anyway, a bad situation. Nobody wins in this, but something that needs to be dealt with immediately. Because as it stands, according to the reports, right now, Todibo's not going to be playing for West Ham again, but we've got to sign him for 40 million next summer. Wonderful. Absolutely fantastic. Anyway, I'm off. I'll be back later on tonight with Gonzo with our Wolves preview. That should be fun. El Sacchio is back. It was true against Man United. It's just that we won. He got sacked. So Gary O'Neill versus Lopetegui, West Ham versus Wolves on Monday night, all to play for. But if you've enjoyed this video, please do drop a like on it, subscribe to Hammers Chat, hammerschatstore.com, get your Christmas gifts and get your signed Jimmy Walker book. Catch you in a bit.